The first blood test never happened. Not really. What investors saw was a finger prick, a tiny cartridge, and a sleek black box called the Edison, along with numbers appearing on a screen like magic. Silicon Valley loves magic, especially when it wears a black turtleneck and promises to change the world. This is the story of how a company that never worked became worth $9 billion, and how almost everyone wanted to believe it. Right now, Theranos still matters because it wasn't a tech failure. It was a finance and storytelling success. A masterclass in how capital, credibility, and fear of missing out can overpower basic reality. Elizabeth Holmes dropped out of Stanford at 19 with a simple pitch. Blood tests are expensive, slow, and painful. What if one drop of blood could run hundreds of tests instantly? Cheaper, faster, accessible to everyone. The idea was intoxicating. If it worked, healthcare would be rewritten. And rewriting systems is where fortunes are made. So money followed the story. The Waltons, Rupert Murdoch, former secretaries of state, generals, billionaires who controlled retail empires and media empires. They didn't invest in Theranos because they understood blood diagnostics. They invested because everyone else important already had. That's how the system works. Venture capital doesn't reward proof first. It rewards momentum. If enough powerful people believe something will be true, it becomes financially real long before it becomes technically real. The problem was simple. The Edison didn't work. Not sometimes. Not early versions. It never worked. Running accurate blood tests from a single drop requires precision at a microscopic level, temperature control, chemical stability, calibration across hundreds of variables. Theranos couldn't solve it. The physics didn't bend. The biology didn't cooperate. So they improvised. When Walgreens executives came for DMOS, the machines were carefully staged. Some tests were secretly run on modified competitor equipment made by Siemens. Other results were simply altered after the fact. Patients believed their health data was real. It wasn't. Inside the company, employees raised alarms. Accuracy rates were failing. Tests were unreliable. But Theranos didn't behave like a medical company. It behaved like a defense contractor. Secrecy, compartmentalization, fear. Ironically, the more the tech failed, the more the valuation rose. Because hype doesn't need working products. It needs distance from reality. Elizabeth Holmes spoke in absolutes. She lowered her voice. She quoted Steve Jobs. She framed skepticism as cynicism and doubt as moral weakness. If you questioned the Edison, you weren't just wrong. You were standing in the way of progress. That framing is powerful. Investors didn't ask for peer-reviewed studies. They didn't demand FDA transparency. They trusted the board. The board trusted the story. And the story trusted that no one would look too closely. At its peak, Theranos was valued at $9 billion. On paper, Elizabeth Holmes was worth more than $4 billion. In practice, the core product produced dangerously inaccurate medical results. This is the uncomfortable math. A valuation is not the truth. It's a collective agreement to suspend disbelief. The higher the number, the harder it becomes to admit a mistake. Walking away doesn't just cost money. It costs reputation. So people double down. They wait. They hope. They convince themselves that the breakthrough is just one iteration away. It never came. When regulators finally looked inside, the illusion collapsed quickly. Labs were shut down. Tests were voided. The Edison was exposed as a prop. What's almost absurd is how long the lie survived without working science. But it survived because the incentives were aligned. The media got a hero. Investors got proximity to a unicorn. Retail partners face future disruption without current responsibility. Everyone got something, until reality sent the bill. Zoom out, and Theranos stops being a Silicon Valley anomaly. It becomes a warning. In finance, The most dangerous stories aren't scams that promise riches. They're stories that promise meaning, to change healthcare, to save lives, to be on the right side of history. Because once belief replaces verification, the system stops protecting truth. And the question isn't how Elizabeth Holmes fooled everyone. The real question is this: how many Edisons are still humming quietly in glass offices right now, waiting for someone brave enough to ask if the machine actually works?